Experiment 629 was the 629th and last genetic experiment created by Jumbo with Hamster Wheel's funding. He was dying to have all of Stitch's powers with a little extra boost of strength and speed. He was named Leroy by Dr. Hamsterville. Leroy and Stitch the movie. While spending a few years on Earth, Jumbo had an unfinished experiment at his laboratory in deep space. After Lilo and Stitch had successfully captured all 625 experiments and turned them from bad to good, Jumbo regained access to his lab. During this time, Jumbo's evil former partner, Dr. Hamsterville, escaped prison with Gantu's help. Jumbo started creating an experiment with explosive saliva from a template similar to Stitch until he was ordered by Hamsterville, who paid Jumbo a visit, to instead make the latter a new version of 626. Forced to comply after being threatened by Gantu, Jumbo created a red destructive replica of Stitch. Hamsterville decided to mimic Lilo by naming the experiment, just like she did with the other experiments. After trying several failed experiment names, due to Gantu pointing out that each one was already taken, Hamsterville christened the newly created experiment Leroy. Shortly after, Stitch attacked the lab to apprehend Hamsterville, and Leroy was released to battle Stitch. After a long fight ensued between the twin experiments, Stitch eventually had Leroy pinned down, but Pleagley's untimely arrival distracted Stitch long enough for Leroy to bat him into a containment orb. After Leroy proved to be more powerful than Stitch, the former was cloned by Hamsterville into a huge army. The original Leroy then took the BRB by posing as Stitch and ordered that the pilots take him, Hamsterville, and the Leroy army to Turo. En route, Leroy received a call from Lilo and, resuming his Stitch disguise, attempted to pose as Stitch. However, he was quickly discovered by Lilo to be an imposter, as he was not wearing the tiki necklace she had given Stitch earlier, causing Hamsterville to order Leroy to hang up. Upon arriving on planet Turo, the Leroy army was able to overthrow the Council and gain galactic domination. Meanwhile, a Leroy clone arrived on Earth, where, using Lilo's stolen experiment logbook, he rounded up all of the first 624 experiments and brought them to a stadium to be destroyed. Shortly after, Hamsterville and the entire Leroy army arrived at the stadium on Earth in the BRB to destroy the captured experiments. Before they could, however, Lilo, Stitch, Jumbo, Pleagley, Reuben, and a reformed Gantu arrived, and a battle ensued between the experiments and the Leroy clones. Though the experiments were able to overpower the Leroys at first, the Leroys soon gained the upper hand. However, as the Leroys came close to winning the battle, Lilo, Stitch, Reuben, and several other experiments performed the song Aloha Oi, which caused all the Leroys to shut down due to a failsafe mechanism. Afterwards, all the Leroys, along with Hamsterville, were sent to prison on asteroid K-37, where they were seen happily dancing to the song Jailhouse Rock with an angry Dr. Hamsterville tapping his foot. Special abilities. Leroy possesses all the same powers as Stitch, with a little extra boost of strength and speed. He is normally very physical, but also good with a plasma gun. Leroy also has the ability to disguise himself as Stitch by changing his fur color from red to blue, and can instantly regrow his fur. Weaknesses. During his creation, Leroy was programmed with a failsafe mechanism that causes him and his clones to shut down when they hear the song Aloha Oi. It is unknown whether or not Leroy shares Stitch's weakness of water.
I've never heard of that.
Trivia. Leroy is the only experiment to not have been created by Jumba out of his own free will, as Hamster forced him to create the experiment, though he had originally intended Leroy to be a different experiment. Technically speaking, Leroy is the youngest of all the known experiments, having only come into existence during the events of Leroy and Stitch. Hamsterville wanted Leroy's fur color to be red instead of blue so as to match his cape. Leroy's color scheme and attitude seem to be derived from experiment 627. Much like 627, Leroy could not be rehabilitated. Leroy is one of the 10 known experiments named by someone other than Lilo, the other 9 being Gigi, Elastigo, Yarp, Hammerface, Heat, Thresher, Plasmorn, Bartholomew, and Shrink. Leroy in particular was named by Hamsterville. When Hamsterville christened the newly created experiment Leroy, everyone, for whatever reason, laughed at the name except Lilo, who thought Leroy was a fine name. Hamsterville initially tried to name him Spike, Hicks, Slugger, and Cannibal, but Cantu pointed out that they were already taken. Leroy is the third experiment shown to share Stitch's habit of picking his nose with his tongue, the first being Sparky and the second being Angel. The scene where a Leroy clone crash lands on Earth in Myrtle's backyard is the same animation when Stitch first crash landed on Earth in Lilo and Stitch. When Leroy was defeated, his eyes glowed green as Stitch's eyes did in Lilo and Stitch 2, Stitch is a Glitch. Leroy can be considered to be one of the only successful prototypes for Jumba's ultimate monster experiment, since Jumba deliberately programmed Leroy's weakness to the song Aloha Oi, and no actual failure has been observed. Other notable attempts for such a prototype experiment are 000, 262, 600, 625, 626, and 627. He is one of the few experiments that are actually villains, along with Cyber, Chop Suey, 627, and Dark End. We were able to locate a Leroy plush from the Disney store. If you enjoyed this video, please smash a like and subscribe to the channel for more Lilo and Stitch videos. And leave a comment down in the comment section with who's your favorite experiment and who you'd like to see us do next. Till next time, aloha!